All right, so we're doing day trading in today's video. Before I start though, really quick, just wanted to thank you guys for helping me get to 1,000 subs. I'm at like 1.6K now, which is just insane. So thank you guys so much. Now, before we get into day trading, I just wanted to go over something really quick. Day trading has been fantasized by many as a way to make you quickly rich and also to quit your 9-to-5 job. One thing to keep in mind, only 10% of day traders are actually profitable. Day trading requires a lot of discipline, patience, but also the ability to think quickly. We might miss opportunities and then have to wait for other ones. And then if you try to force a trade off of a gut feeling or off of FOMO, you might end up losing a lot of money in the long run. Now, I have profited off of day trading, but since I have a full-time job, I much prefer swing trading. Having said that, if you're a beginner to intermediate level trader, I'd actually recommend checking out my swing trading video, which I'll link to on the top right of the video. So in this video, I'll be going over more complicated setups, so I assume that you know what candlesticks, RSI, MACD, to name a few things are. There are some newer concepts, so I'll explain those, but you should have a good foundation. All right, well, without further ado, let's jump into it. Quick plug for more types of these videos, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel to grow, and I always super appreciate it. Oh, please also comment what you guys want to see next, so that way I can poll that. The creation for this video was actually based on a poll, so it really does help out. Now, there are some prerequisites for day trading. Besides the aforementioned experience, day trading means that you're making multiple trades per day. This means that you'll want a margin account if your account is worth more than 25,000. And if you're under 25,000, you'll have to use a cash account. I have a whole video on the differences between a cash and margin account, especially if you're under 25K. So in that situation, you can click the video on the top right to take a peek at that. The first part of any good trading, especially day trading, is finding the right stocks. You don't want to just day trade any random stock, so this setup will allow you to find good stocks that have potential for run up. We'll continue to use FinViz as I find it very useful for finding suitable stocks. You'll want stocks with low float. So float is the amount of shares available to trade. So if we think of a pie, this example is oversimplified, but imagine Apple's pie is cut into 100,000 pieces. But another stock, AA, which is an aluminum company most people have never heard of, is cut into 1,000 pieces. So let's say there's big news for either one of these companies, and everyone wants to grab a slice. Since the apple pie has 100,000 slices, there's more slices or shares outstanding to scoop up. But AA only has 1,000 slices. So there's big demand, but low supply. So a price movement can be more dramatic. This is how you want to think of floats. We want low float, which means typically there's less than 15 million shares available for trading. You'll also want stocks with high relative volume, not just volume. Relative volume means compared to a stock's previous period, it's now trading at a higher rate. So if we set that to 2, that means that it's trading 2 times the normal volume. So obviously there's a lot of interest here. Make sure to navigate over to technical and set your 200 SMA to above and your 20-day SMA to crossed above. We'll want to keep the volume above 200,000 so there's a good amount of space for us to get in and out of trades. Remember, more volume equals more buyers and sellers. Feel free to tweak some of this too. So for example, you can change the volume to over 100K, you can change the float to under 50 million, and you can change the price. Usually we want to aim for stocks around $15 to $25, but feel free to try one that's like 27 or maybe a little bit lower than 15, but try not to go below, I would say $8 or $7. Try to keep it between like $10 and $30. I might get some flack for this, but time of trade isn't as important to me as good setups. It's important to know that the most volume will happen from 9:30 market open to around 10 a.m. and also the last hour of trading, which is often referred to as power hour, which goes from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. market close. Yes, a good setup can happen at 9:30, but it can also happen at 12 noon. So I know a lot of day traders like to kind of write off anything past like 12 o'clock as I don't really trade during that time, but you can still find decent run-ups past 12. Volume is still super important, and we're going to be using an indicator called the VWAP, which will help us to make better decisions with volume. The thing about volume though is that the more volume there is, the faster the price moves, so it can be a little bit difficult, especially in the morning. That's why discipline comes into play when being a day trader. I'll show you an example with a stock I like called Blink. So when we start the day, this is going to be November 23rd. I'll show you what volume does for a stock. As you can see, when the stock opened up, it was already above the 9-day EMA, and so it was at a point of confirmation. And what happens is that it becomes hard because you see your confirmation and then all of a sudden it starts moving very erratically. You can see that it's starting to drop down. It looks like it might close above the EMA. And this is going every second this is happening. So it already touched the 9-day EMA, so you might be sweating at this point. You realize that you just bought at 26.38 and now it's dropping to 25.52. So a lot of people will panic and they'll sell at this moment. So if we jump along a little bit, you can see that 5-minute candle actually closed pretty high above the EMA. But when you're in the moment, when you're day trading, it's very stressful. You can see how long these wicks are for these candles, and that causes a lot of people to sell out early. Look at the spike in the volume here. So this is why you have to stick to the charts and stick to your guns, because if you start making plays based off your gut feeling, you're going to start losing out. I'll explain this setup in a little bit. I just want to show you how fast price can move because of volume. Next, we'll go ahead and jump into the actual indicators we're using for these trades. My preferred platform for day trading is Thinkorswim because I find it very customizable. Go ahead and navigate to charts and then click on studies. I'll tell you what to add first, and then I'll explain how they work together and what they mean. So go to edit studies and add the following studies: exponential moving average, VWAP, RSI, MACD, and RSI crossover. My strategy for entering day trades is this. I'll use my scanner to look for 5 to 6 stocks the night prior, and then I'll start popping in these tickers into Thinkorswim and checking if they're good candidates. You might be wondering, well, what makes a good candidate? Well, let me show you. So step number 1, make sure the daily looks strong. Okay, so using my scanner, I found out about a stock called STWD. I've never heard of them prior to me running this scan. So it alerted me here when I had this giant run up here, and you can see that the next day, which is today, Monday, the candle kind of ran down a bit, but it still closed above the 9-day EMA. So the things I'm looking for here is that the RSI is not too high. It's still under 70. More importantly, look at the MACD. The MACD here is showing that there's potential for a crossover here, so this is really interesting to me. So a stock like this, I would consider this a good candidate. You want to identify maybe 4 or 5 of these, so you're not stuck watching one stock during market open. Versus, let's compare it to a different stock. Let's check out AA, which is the aluminum company I mentioned a little bit earlier. This is the type of stock you want to be careful with because even though there was a sell-off, look how far the 9-day EMA is from the actual candle. So there would be a couple days of consolidation and potential rises before you can actually buy in. So I wouldn't recommend trading a stock like this. You can also see the MACD cross below the signal line, which is bad. The RSI is pretty low, but you can't depend on just the RSI or any one signal to tell you when to buy in because it still could go lower than that and go below the oversold line. Step number 2 is timeframes and how to trade. So after you've confirmed the daily's looking good, the day of the trade, you need to open up the stock's 5-minute chart. This of course means that a new candle will form every 5 minutes. These are how the indicators are going to play together. Our VWAP is our fair price evaluator. If the stock is above the VWAP, that means you're trading above the fair price. Not a bad thing, but eventually the stock will want to pull back to the VWAP. So that can act like a negative factor against you when it's above the VWAP. But the VWAP is also acting as support for the current price movement. If the stock's candle is above the VWAP, then the VWAP itself is considered the support and the upper band is considered the resistance. If you're under the VWAP is now considered your resistance and the lower band is now your support. So the ideal entry is when the candle closes above the 9-day EMA, MACD is showing a crossover, RSI is low, and the candle is under the VWAP. If the candle closes under the 9-day EMA, you get out. The beauty of our scanner is that it's giving us stocks that are more likely to have a clean run up. If you try to day trade any random stock, it might have more choppy and unpredictable movements. Step 3, hotkeys for quick movements. You'll want to be quick to enter favorable setups and also quick to get out when it's time. Thinkorswim has hotkeys to help out with this. Let's navigate over to Setup, Application Settings, and then Hotkeys. Enable Active Trader and disable Reverse Position, Buy Market, and Sell Market. We're going to use Buy on Ask, Sell on Ask, and Emergency Sell on Bid. As a quick refresher, the bid price refers to the highest price a buyer is willing to pay for a share. The ask price refers to the lowest price a seller will accept for a share. You're going to want to set Buy on Ask to Alt B, Sell on Ask to Alt S, and in an emergency when you really need to get out, set Sell on Bid to Alt Z. You could think of it similar to Control Z. When you make a mistake and you need to go back, you're not going to get your money back, but at least you'll be able to get out quick. You also need to set how many shares you want to buy. By default, it's set to 100, but depending on the stock you're trading, 100 can be very expensive, so you can adjust this accordingly. So if I put 10 shares and then hit Alt B, I'll buy on ask 10 shares. Well, I hope this video serves as a good introduction to day trading. There's many different types of strategies for day trading, so I encourage you as a trader to expand your knowledge and check out other methods as well and see which one works best for you. Finally, please make sure to subscribe and like, as it's really helping my channel to grow. Good luck out there, and as always, keep on making great trades.